Welcome to Red Light, Green Light, the podcast where you'll hear from industry leaders in science, technology, and innovation about the power of strategic storytelling. With decades of experience, our guests will share their own insights and real-world stories to help you avoid red light barriers and ignite green light solutions, from the Zoom room to the boardroom. In each episode, we'll corkscrew downward into the guests' personal experiences of challenge and success, highlighting strategies that turn complex ideas into clear, compelling storylines for stakeholders. Here is where expert minds share stories that shape the future. What's more, you'll walk away with tips to try immediately to drive the vision of innovation with your team. Here is where expert minds share stories that shape the future. What's more, you'll walk away with tips to try immediately that drive the vision of innovation with your team. Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Red Light, Green Light. I am your host, Cindy Skalicky, and I'm here today with a leader in an industry that you may or may not know a lot about. I'm bringing you today Greg Crumpton of ServiceLogic. Greg is the Vice President of Safety and Industry Liaison at ServiceLogic. He has more than 40 years in the industry, which we will get to in a minute. And Greg's got a wealth of experience in many different areas of HVAC, which we'll talk about. Welcome to the show, Greg. It's so nice to have you here.
Well, I appreciate being here. Every time I hear more than 40 years, I'm reminded of how many, and it's 43.
So 43. Maybe we should go with more than 30, then we won't be giving away so much of your...
Yeah, at this point, I'm proud of them all.
Yeah, you ought to be proud of it. You bet. Yeah. Well, Greg, I would like to orient my audience a little bit of listeners. You know, we work with a lot of different guests here and talk to a lot of folks in science, technology, and some of those kind of hard to reach industry areas. And I'm really happy to have you with us today because I've done a little work with folks in HVAC, but it's been a while and there's been a lot of change. And so I would like to read for our audience just a couple sentences that came up on the website at ServiceLogic while I was getting to know you a bit. ServiceLogic is the largest privately held network of HVAC and mechanical services companies in the United States and Canada. And for over 2 decades, ServiceLogic has successfully acquired and integrated over 100 HVAC companies into an affiliate network. Unlike publicly traded companies or OEMs, you use a tailored approach to acquisition experience and give access to resources, support, and peer groups working diligently to preserve the legacy of the company. So that is kind of our on-ramp today in terms of what I've seen about ServiceLogic from just a high level. But tell us about how you got into HVAC, what HVAC means for people who might be new to it, and let's just kick it off.
Well, first of all, that was a great read of that content. So congratulations.
Thank you.
So, I mean, let's just start at the beginning. HVAC, heating, ventilating, air conditioning. Yep. So climate conditioning for human comfort for the most part. And
I like that.
So if you think about the HVAC industry, really there's 2 different veins. There's commercial and residential.
Okay.
And we are the commercial version. So we work in office buildings, hospitals, data centers, large retail, stuff that your neighborhood guy who works on your house doesn't do.
Does not do. Okay.
Yeah. So we're unique in that we're only commercial. So my beginning goes back to 1964. That was the year I was born. Because
okay, let's buckle in, everybody.
So really, I've got 61 years of experience.
Okay.
So my dad was in the industry.
Got it.
So I grew up around the industry. I could do things as a young kid that most people couldn't do just because I worked with my dad a lot. So instead of going to the theme park or the water park on days away from school, I went to work with my dad because I loved it so much.
Oh, wow. Love it.
And so I was young, and I was, I won't say doing things of any real value, but I was doing things that helped me understand the business. I learned how to solder copper tubing together.
Mhm.
I learned how to use a cutting torch, all this stuff that most kids at 11 or 12 years old don't do.
Mhm.
So I was not a good student. I didn't enjoy high school.
Oh, like school. Okay.
Yeah, real school. Um, but I found a program that let me go to high school half a day and tech school half a day. So that kind of salvaged my education career.
Okay.
I did that, finally graduated from high school, went into a 4-year apprenticeship with the union, and I worked during the day and went to school 2 nights a week for a 4-year program, and learned commercial air conditioning service theory at night, and then applied that theory during the day at work. So just a great program, had a ball. And it clicked. It's one of those things that if you're cut out to do something and you get to do it, it's like, oh, okay, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah. Greg, can I pause you? I have a question going back to your dad and what kind of work he did. And this might be a bit of an elementary level question, but, I'm curious about what his focus was in the trades. And honestly, it's like HV and then you have AC. Like, do people pick a letter or the AC and they specialized in that, or is it all
under the umbrella?
Okay.
So if you're an HVAC, so you either are a installation person or a technician.
Okay.
And so my dad was a technician.
Okay.
And he worked for a company that did a lot of installation, but he was the original service tech for that company.
Okay.
And he worked there for 30 years, grew the company, grew the department, became the number 2 guy there. And then unfortunately, he was diagnosed and passed away with colon cancer when he was 58 years old.
Oh, that's young. Yeah.
Yeah, too young, especially now at 61. That seems really young.
Yes, of course.
But so he was in the service end of it, and that's where I migrated to as well.
Okay, great. So you got your degree, you ended up in industry, and tell us what got you between that and where you are now.
So with a young mindset of being fearless, I learned everything I could. I worked for several different companies.
Okay.
Because like practicing medicine, there's a lot of different verticals you can go into.
Okay, that's a good analogy.
I happen to enjoy working in data centers and high-end pharmaceutical manufacturing. So air conditioning for human comfort, I mean, it's required and it's necessary, but it's not very stimulating once you reach a certain level of technical expertise. It's kind of, it can become mundane.
Sure.
So people like me that don't have the ability to be content where they are, we're always wanting something else.
Need to grow.
My growth pattern was into the mission critical data center world. So I did that from a sales, I did project management, ran a division for that big company where my dad and I worked together. And then in 1997, I transferred from the Atlanta office to the Charlotte, North Carolina market, stayed there for 2 years with them and kind of rebuilt that office. And then August 16th, 1999, my wife and I launched our own company.
Okay.
So again, with a focus on air conditioning for non-humans, but we also did humans.
Okay. It's like real estate, right? There's commercial real estate and personal real estate, right? Residential. So same idea.
Yep. Same idea. So we did that. We ran that company for 15 years. And then in the last month of 2014, we sold our company to ServiceLogic.
Got it.
So that's how I wound up here.
Okay. So 11 years.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that is hard to believe. But what a great journey and lots of different styles of being involved, owning, working for a larger conglomerate and being a service tech as well. I love it when we get a chance to talk with people who have done a lot of different areas of put their hands in a lot of different pots, if you will, to try to pick up a lot of the industry and learn about it. I would like to actually tap the data center piece that you talked about for a couple of reasons, Greg. We work with a lot of folks who are building those data centers, who are servicing those or finding ways, these are the tech, the architecture, individuals who are building the infrastructure of the actual data center, right? And so there's a tremendous amount of energy being used in the data center. There's a tremendous amount of attention being paid to the data centers now as we reach for more and more AI speed and traction. And I wonder if you could give us a bird's eye view of the data centers that you've worked in and how that's shifting in light of AI.
So the world went completely bonkers when we heard the term Chat GPT.
It sure did.
That's what started the most recent fire.
Yep.
But I'll backtrack to the mid 1980s when you were just a little bitty baby, probably. So in the mid 80s, IBM had a mainframe computer that was water cooled. It was so powerful that only water could remove enough heat to make it operate properly, as opposed to blowing air over it.
Okay.
I was a young guy working in the data center, in this data center room, cooling the room with big air conditioners around the perimeter. And we started doing this really cool thing, running this tubing that had water in it flowing to the computer.
Yes.
I mean, I'm flabbergasted by that because water and electricity never made sense in one place.
Yes.
But that's the only way they could get the heat transfer out of the processor with enough horsepower, quote unquote, enough oomph. I don't know how to spell it. To get the heat out of the processor. So I was exposed to liquid cooling way back then, before anybody had heard of liquid cooling. So then as we go through the 90s and the 2000s, everything becomes air cooled. The PC environment took hold, and you had racks and racks and racks of these servers that are, 2U high or about, 4 inches tall.
Yep.
There's racks of them everywhere, but we were utilizing air. We would bring air through the computer, cold air, heat that air up, and then send it back to the air conditioner. So that's how we were cooling the computer.
Like a cyclical situation.
Yeah. Sucking air in, heating it up, taking it to the air conditioner, and then dumping it outdoors through the refrigerant, or freon, as some people call it. That worked really well until we began to hit the density levels back in the racks. That was so hot that we can't do it with air again. Now we've got to go back to liquid. So the big change and the shift right now is away from air cooling of the CPUs, GPUs, FPGAs, back to liquid cool.
Yeah. And Greg, I actually watched a really fascinating video that was about the AI data center that was put together by XAI, and how the actual rows look, and they kind of give you a tour of the facility itself. It was the fastest built data center, I think, ever. I might be wrong about that, but it was put up so quickly, and they take a long time. It's so incredibly detailed, and they had those tubes. The liquid cooling was, the cool air the cool water coming in and the hot water going out, and then you see these. I mean, it's like being on Mars almost, where you're kind of really. But that was the main question that I had watching the video. I'm like, how can there be water and electricity, and how is it that safe that, all these companies are now working with this as the solution? It seems like it's a better, more advanced solution than air? Is that not true necessarily?
Well, it just has the ability to extract so much more heat than
Okay.
air. So it's much more efficient.
Okay.
And,
Okay.
and it's really pure water, and it's 25% glycol, which is antifreeze.
Okay.
So it's not
Oh, I
pure
did
water
not
like
know
you
that.
get out of that. Yeah.
Okay,
And
that
it
makes
operates at a temperature that the process is you make really cold water outside, like
mm-hmm.
45 degrees.
Yep.
It goes into a box called a CDU, a cooling distribution unit,
Mm-hmm.
where it has a heat exchanger, and that heat exchanger allows that water going to the computer to run at about 90 degrees Fahrenheit. Because
Mm-hmm.
to your point about the water and electricity, the water going to the server has to be above dew point, so you don't
Mm-hmm.
have condensation. So
Right.
it's theoretically, to us, it's warm water,
Mm-hmm.
but there's still a lot of capacity. If you think about it, 90-degree water, water doesn't boil to 212, right?
Right.
Fahrenheit.
Okay.
So
Yep.
you've got a lot of ability to raise that water temperature before you hit the next state change,
Okay.
which is
Yes.
steam.
Sure.
And you don't have to worry about condensation dripping onto the server itself. So
It's all a fine line of figuring that wiggle room out and what those boundaries are. Absolutely.
absolutely. And
Wow. Wow.
it's
That's
it's a
so
really
interesting.
fun environment to be in right now.
Yeah.
But the thing that, and I reinforce this a lot with people, liquid cooling's what we hear about all the time, and AI
Mm-hmm.
is all we hear about.
Mm-hmm.
But the traditional air cooled data center is going to be here forever because
Okay.
everybody doesn't need
Okay.
X kind of
Okay.
computing
Got it.
or AWS style compute.
Right.
We're just running a video thing right here. I could
Mhm.
run that on a desktop computer,
Yep.
you know. So
Absolutely.
it's
That
just a
makes
matter
sense. It's not going
of
anywhere.
understanding the
Mhm.
vertical,
Mhm.
that it's not going to be all in for everybody. There's
Yeah.
still many different aspects of data center cooling.
And it'll be interesting to watch it grow as we, move further and further into this interesting time that we're
It's a
all in.
fascinating time to be
Very,
in the
very
business.
interesting. Well, let me pivot us a little bit, Greg,
Sure.
because on this show, red light, green light means a couple of specific things around how leaders go at stakeholder audiences to persuade them toward one area or another of their proposition at hand, right? So we talk a lot of, and I want to get into that with you, Greg, and what that means in your world and with your leaders, with the owners of the many companies, perhaps, like, who are they persuading? What kinds of communications situations are they finding themselves in? And I know you're a big proponent of training your people and getting these individuals in the industry the skills they need to run a business really well. I know you've taken some public speaking classes and you're really attached to teaching. And I think you said something in one of the podcasts that I listened to about how if you're going to be teaching, you better know your stuff. And
Absolutely. Call you out in a minute.
that's right.
Yeah.
So, for our audience who might be new to On Point and red light, green light, quick tutorial on the lights system. Okay. So what we've built here at On Point is a framework that helps leaders address an audience of stakeholders so that the stakeholders in the audience are able to move faster from the red light of risk to the green light of go with whatever you, the presenter, are positing to the audience. So we have found in our many years of working with leaders, a lot of leaders aren't really solid at doing this job well, this
Absolutely.
persuasive task. Like, if you need to move somebody toward a purchase, a strategic partnership, a vote yes, a next phone call, an investment, the agreement to hire 2 more people for your team, and you need to go internally, for example, to the vice president and say, I need 2 more people, or this job's not going to happen on schedule. How do you craft that message? And that's what the lights system and the how-to model talks about. So how does that look, Greg, in your world? What's bouncing around kind of in your thought patterns now, listening to that? And, what's a communications situation that you've observed where that's at play? What's happening?
It's a great topic, Cindy. And if you think about what I learned in technical school, there was not one mention of EQ or understanding how to communicate
Mhm.
or making sure that I'm speaking a language that my receiver can hear.
Yep.
Because as a technical person,
Mm-hmm.
what my thought processes a lot of times are logical and linear,
Mm-hmm.
and that's not true with a lot of positions. It's more all encompassing.
Right.
So what I really worked on myself and what I learned, and then what I'm trying to pass on. Now I did it today at lunch with a young man I'm working with.
Mm-hmm.
Is just because you're in a role,
Mm-hmm.
you have to look beyond your role and understand your target. And that
Yes.
target can be, to your point, your boss, your boss's
Mm-hmm.
boss, your customer,
Mm-hmm.
somebody
Yep.
at church that you're trying to get help with, or whatever,
Yep.
whatever real life scenario there is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think my biggest thing, and I see this a lot in our industry because there's a lot of really good technicians who want to become business owners.
Yes, exactly.
But we're not taught that. So we
Yes,
think
exactly.
that running a business means you buy a new truck and you get a set of tools and you go and do the work.
Mm-hmm.
That's really good until
Mm-hmm.
you reach your point of exhaustion, burnout, and being broke, because all
Exactly.
three of those things happen.
Yes. Burnout,
So,
broke, exhaustion.
so I really think it requires us to look ahead at the next step. And
Yes.
I was reading a quote that I wrote a long time ago this morning. Somebody posted it and I
Mm-hmm.
had forgotten about it.
Mm.
But I said, this particular group that I'm working with has a tendency to look ahead to see what's coming.
Mm-hmm.
What's coming is now, is here.
Yes.
So
Yes.
are we able to peek around the corner
Mm-hmm.
and set ourselves up for what's coming? And I'm
Mm-hmm.
reminded by the quote from Wayne Gretzky when they said, Wayne, how in the world do you score all these points?
Right.
And he says it's simple. I skate to where the puck's going to be.
Oh, yeah. I can see
So I
ahead.
think if we do that as humans,
Yep.
as entrepreneurs, as leaders, as want to be leaders, because I
Mm-hmm.
told that kid this morning I was with, leadership's not a title. This is something you can do at your entry level to
Right.
set the tone of
That's
your
right.
job.
That's right.
So
Yep. Leaders.
I think just looking ahead is the first step.
Yeah, 100%. And leadership, when I was in a leadership class that I took as a participant, one of the examples I remember has to do with what you just told this young man today. Leadership is not a title. It's the person who walks down the street, sees an empty Coke can that's smushed up and picks it up, puts it in the trash, right? I mean, you
Absolutely.
don't need to have leadership as a title. I do think that people realize that more and more, but there are often people who've been in silos or areas where, there is that kind of dictatorial type of leadership that still is hanging on in the company or in the culture. And it's really hard to progress and look around the corner, like you said, and see where that puck is going to be when you're feeling held down or diminished, or just that tone that's not one of thriving and growth, but
Yeah.
more of restriction. So I think that's key. Looking ahead is critical. What else, Greg, do you see when it comes to, any examples of communications that you remember doing personally really well for yourself that you really like? And I nailed it feeling on a stage you go to a lot of conferences, right? Like, who are some people, or what are some times that you have really felt on, like you really did a good job?
So I feel really energized when I get to hear good messages
Mm-hmm.
and I visualize how to go and incorporate that message into what I'm trying to do.
Nice.
So,
Okay.
because I'm a synthesizer, so
Mm.
I have to hear or read or understand something, and I need to let it kind of rattle around in these
Mm-hmm.
empty spaces a little
Percolate.
bit,
Mm-hmm.
and then figure out how to use it. And
Mm-hmm.
this is one thing I tell our groups when I host our semi-annual safety summits.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you can leave this 2.5 day event with one nugget that
Mm-hmm.
you can take home, and
Yes.
I'm not saying to replicate this nugget,
Mm-hmm.
use this nugget as a catalyst
Yes.
of, okay, Crumpton said this, and I can use 73% of that. And
Mm-hmm.
then I can add my special sauce to his nugget and make something better at my company.
Right.
Because how our companies are built Cindy, we have, I think there's 62 brands
Okay.
under our umbrella.
Okay.
And there's a little bit of weird reporting, who goes to what and what have you, but somewhere around there, 8,000 people, 115 locations.
Yeah, it's a lot of people.
Our program is built for autonomy. So we don't have hard and fast rules about much. There are a few non-negotiable things, but how our presidents choose to run their business, how our safety professionals implement their program is really done at a localized level, because we buy companies that are higher performing, that we do a good job of due diligence on. We know the people.
Yep.
And we don't want to take that away from that company. They're special and they're high performing because of the people, not because they can work on air conditioners. A lot of people can do that. But how do they do it? What's their community involvement? What's the culture? All different.
Yep.
So that's why I think it's really cool when we can sprinkle ideas of what worked in San Diego may work well in Boston to a point. But Boston has to put the finishing sauce on it.
Right.
So I think being open to ideas and learning how to interpret it as to how it can help you the most, as opposed to just a blanket statement.
I love that. And I want to just note that literally 2 minutes ago, you said something like, I just reread a quote I said that I didn't remember. But Greg, somebody else remembered it, and that was their 10% of you that they have held on to and tried to grow as a little acorn or mustard seed. And that really lends to what I teach in audiences, which is, really, you only have about 10% of your message that your audience can dependently remember. They're only going to remember about 10% of whatever it is you share with them that day, whether it's a 2.5-day conference, a 1-hour presentation, 10%. And people look at me with like, what? Like, I'm going to work this hard and they're only going to remember 10%. And I say, well, that's if we don't push the envelope. Okay, we can get to higher than 10, but that requires some skill, some repetition, some creativity, some storytelling. The example I would give is that a good friend of mine told a story about Black Friday and Macy's with a sales clerk, and I could keep going, but I remember about 70% of his message because of the way he told it.
Storytelling.
Yes.
So
I love it.
I think we can get to 11% if we just learn when to pause.
Yes.
And we have those pregnant silences like you talked about recently in your post.
Yes. Those pacing moments matter. If we just ramble all at the same pace and the music doesn't have rests, we can't really make a symphony, can we?
Well, I think that, and obviously it's proven, and you know it well with your craft, but storytelling with real life scenarios is so impactful. You think about what your mom did when you were a kid. You read story time, about things, not about stuff, but things and people and places and rabbits and, I guess now dinosaurs they talk about as kids. But,
but people and places and actual tangible items, not ethereal ideas. Right.
And I think about when I read Ernest Hemingway's work, that dude can take me to his brain and I can see in color because for whatever reason, it clicks with me with him, especially Old Man of the Sea. That's I'd give that book away a lot because I absolutely do, because most people had to read that book in high school.
Yep.
And at 17 or 16 years old, you don't have enough life experience to understand that the book is not about a shark and a marlin.
Right.
That book, as an adult, when you reread it, and I bet you will now, because I
know now. I'm like, I better read it again. It's been a hot minute.
It takes such a different tone, and you can visualize it, especially you as a business owner, because that shark is your competition. That marlin is your customer you're trying to land, and you got your shark nibbling at it.
Love it. Yeah.
If you
So
read that
many.
now, as a young adult as you are, you'll enjoy that.
Yes. Well, thank you for calling me a young adult. Snuck that in there.
Hey,
No, that's
I've been
great.
married for 40 years. I understand the nuance.
Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful. Congratulations on that, because that's a long time and worth celebrating. Well, you already skipped to my last question by asking about books. I always
Yeah.
like to ask, like, what's a favorite book? What's on your nightstand tonight that you're reading? Do you have another one that's
Well, of
handy?
course, I have a favorite, which is mine.
Of
Um,
course you do.
so
Fantastic.
that's my new favorite.
I
But
love that. What's your
um,
book about? Tell us a little bit.
so it took me 60 years to write.
Okay, is
Um,
that all?
yes, so far. Um, it's about life experiences and trying to save people scar tissue damage that they don't have to go through that I did. And
Okay.
I talk about some of those stories. I tell some stories in the book. I tell a lot of stories.
Yeah, I bet.
They're short little chapters of nuggets. So
I'm gonna get it.
it's a McNugget place. You've got one coming in the mail, so
I
be patient.
do. Oh,
Yeah.
thank you, Greg. I know. Well, I didn't know you were. So I'm just learning more and more about you as we get going on our relationship building. So I didn't even know that. Thank you for telling me, and I want to read it for sure.
So
That's
you can go
exciting.
to deepknowledge.me,
Okay.
www.deepknowledge.me. You can buy it. But
Go find Greg and
so
support his book. I love it.
and I'm not here. I wasn't here to do that. So
That's
thank you
okay.
for
I
that.
asked you. Yeah.
Um, so one book that changed my thinking about a
Yeah.
lot of things was Gladwell's Outliers book,
Okay.
because it's based on the premise of 10,000 hours to mastery of just
Oh, for
about any
sure.
skill.
Yes.
It clicked for me. It's one of those books that I was pissed when it was through. Like,
Okay.
is that it?
Yeah. Wait, what?
Um, so I like Gladwell. I read a lot of different stuff. Mitch Joel is another
Mm,
favorite of mine.
okay.
Joel, Mitch Joel,
Okay.
and Hemingway I like
Mm,
a lot.
that's beautiful.
Although it's hard for me to read it because I have to look up a lot of words when I'm reading him.
Okay. Right.
Um, and then I think my new favorite is probably Jordan Peterson.
Yes.
Um,
There's a lot there. Lots
now
of,
you talk about looking up some words.
yeah, right.
Like
Exactly.
on chapter 2 in 2 months
Oh
because
my goodness.
I'm like, I have to reread it a lot because I love the content, but I have to
Right.
understand the word. So I have to
Right.
look the word up. Then I
Right.
have to reread the sentence to learn how to apply the
Yep.
word.
Like a
But
treasure hunt. Well, you're a synthesizer, so you probably like to read some books slowly. I can imagine.
and reread. I'm a
Right.
rereader.
Yeah.
Um,
That's
like
fantastic.
watching Apocalypse Now, which I've done
Yeah.
about 30 times.
Oh, wow. Oh my
I
gosh.
still find new stuff in the movie,
Yeah, that's
like
fun when you
little
can.
bitty weird things.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
my wife,
I'm a rewatcher. Like when I see a great movie or a great character, I'll rewatch and find lots of new pieces to that as
I
well.
think that's the only movie I've ever watched more than twice.
That's and 30 is a lot. So we're in between 2 and 30 on your
My
other one.
wife is completely thinks that I'm nuts so about that movie, but
So great.
I just find it pretty
Slightly
fascinating.
obsessive, but it's all good. We all have something we're
I
obsessed
am OCD.
Yes, yes. Well, let me
In a healthy way. In a healthy
yeah,
way.
of course. Right. Well, I want to just tap the 10,000 hour piece really to close us up today, Greg. Because I think one thing you and I both value is that ability for leaders to really come and teach and train with the utmost preparation. And so 10,000 hours with no matter what it is you're trying to become an expert at, whether it's servicing an air conditioning unit or servicing your audience with an excellent and beautifully prepared message, that ability to come to your audience as a speaker, right, on a stage at a conference, for example, and be fully present with them can only be achieved after the equivalent of about 10,000 hours, give or take, of that preparation. So when we've really got that message locked in so that we know it so well, we could have anybody come and interrupt us and we would be able to get back on track. Only then can we really engage with our audiences at that heart level, stepping forward toward them, doing the naming, interrupt me with questions. You don't want to be in an audience and see the speaker's wheels turning in their minds about what's the next slide? What should I say now? It's just very subpar. And that's like 2,000 hours comparatively to the 10,000, right? So I know you resonate with that concept when it comes to public speaking as well.
So I'm a Kaizen practitioner. I've got a tattoo that says Kaizen, which
Tell
is
us about that.
Continuous improvement. Is basically what that is.
Okay.
So I think a lot about 10,000 hours to get to a level of mastery, but you can't quit. That to me is like, okay, I've reached a mark, but not the mark. So Kaizen for me is one extra thing in everything you do. So if there's 10 steps, figure out how to do 11. Figure out how to do 10 and a half. And maybe it's picking up the can in the parking lot on your way into your client because it's the right thing to do, and people are always watching how you are when you're not in their presence.
Yes.
And that, to me, doing the right thing when nobody's watching is highly important. And, so you ask about authors as well. Nilofer Merchant is a lady, and her theme that she wrote about really brilliantly to me is onlyness. You're the only one that's you.
Ooh,
And, like I'm in the air conditioning business and I'm one of a million people, but the way that I execute, think, and act within my business is only to me unique. And she does a really good job of if you ever get a chance to read that.
I really want to learn more about that.
It's really outstanding.
Yes, I love that. We do an exercise. Go ahead, keep going.
I just think that understanding the unique ability that you bring to your skill group, and you run a business. You're a business owner. Your team, everybody has a unique thing. What Amy does is unique to what you do because she's really good at it. That's her onlyness to on point.
Yes.
And I just think it's fabulous when you can take a step back and look at those things that are unique, but also tell a story without speaking so that people can read that story about how you guys interact, because the email I get doesn't always have your name on it, but it's forwarding your mission.
Yes. Oh gosh, Greg, we need a part 2 because there's so much going on with the onlyness piece you just mentioned. And we are unfortunately out of time for this episode, but we will dive in October with your team on an exercise that helps your leaders unpack.
That's going to be a blast. I am really looking forward to that.
I cannot wait. And we're gonna have people who can now articulate their onlyness, and I'm going to use that word with them so that it kind of ties things together. But it's called the passion piece, and it's a way for people to write out what their unique gifting is. And it's so powerful, and it's become one of the most favorite exercises that we do, to my surprise, frankly. And I think you're just going to absolutely love it, and all your people will too.
Well, this group that we have is a very special group that's been curated over the last 11 years. It's grown to nearly 60. It started with 6. So
oh my goodness.
Every person that has come into that group that has stuck with our group.
Yes.
And it's semi-volunteer. They don't have to come to the meeting if we want them to, because we all learn together.
Yeah.
And like we're doing with you, it's not all about safety. It's about growing as a human while you're conducting your safety job.
Yes, exactly. And some of that's like your emotional safety, your sense of self-safety. We can go with that route too, because it's true and it matters. So I think it's going to be I know it's going to be a fantastic day when we get together. So
looking
Greg,
forward
this has been, me too. This has been a great conversation. Thanks for diving a little deeper with us. Any final thoughts for anyone out there? What if you've got a kid out there who's considering HVAC? What would you give them as a piece of advice?
Well, whether they're considering HVAC or they simply don't know what they want to do in life yet. Maybe they graduated, they can't find a job, or they're not college bound for a lot of different reasons. Consider getting them involved in the skilled trades, because there is an ever-growing need, and they can make ever-growing amounts of money and have a career that's really, really sweet. So
yes.
we welcome it. Contact me directly. I'm glad to help people. I try to do a lot with our youth to get them excited. Military vets coming back. What can we help them get to next after what they've given us? So
yes, I love it.
it's
Greg, your
empowering
expertise
people.
is clear, but your passion is even louder, and that's what makes you such a compelling leader and a great guest for us today. So thank you for coming. Thank you for being with us, and look forward to seeing you again soon. Thanks for being here.
Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, you bet. Well, everybody, that's going to be a wrap on our episode today of Red Light, Green Light. Thank you for tuning in. Please hit share, like, and subscribe so we can share this with others in the industry, both HVAC and beyond. And join us again next week. We'll be bringing you another fantastic leader who will share their storylines about red lights, green lights, and everything in between. Until then, take care, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.